my name is Neenal. I'm the communications manager here at MobileAppDaily. Asking like a very basic introduction of a little about you, perhaps your role at the company at Wolfpack, and also just what your professional journey has been.
First of all, thank you very much for having me in this interview. I was also very much looking forward to it. So, a few words about myself. I'm Georgina Lupu-Florian, and I'm the CEO and founder of Wolfpack Digital. How I started my professional journey is by being very confused. I started my career as an engineer, as an iOS developer, but at the same time, I studied in a bachelor in psychology. I also studied public relations, and I did a master's at King's College in London, where I studied engineering with business management. And I realized at some point that the best way to bring these interests together was by actually becoming an entrepreneur. So that's when I decided to move back to Romania and start my own company. I decided to name the company using my surname, Lupu, which means wolf in Romanian. Right now, our goal is actually to stabilize our internal processes and to deliver a better and better experience to both our clients and our team.
How exactly has COVID affected Wolfpack, and also like in terms of company culture and in terms of how you're kind of handling the crisis for your clients?
The biggest shift that we could feel in 2020 was the one related to working from home. So this was, of course, the internal shift. And in this sense, we found that we had to introduce new processes, especially in the HR space. We introduced new internal events that are recurring so that we could keep the team together and keep the team spirit. And then on the other side, on our client side, there was of course a huge shift in the way that our clients decided to spend their budget. So we could see that there were new priorities arising, and the roadmaps, the product development roadmaps, they started changing quite a lot, as of course the needs of the users, who are the main driver, of course, for our clients' apps, changed also because of COVID. So it was indeed a shift. So in some cases, there were some clients who had to pause their app development. So those were the saddest cases, I would say, because their budget was actually relying on revenue streams that were coming from industries that were very severely affected. But in other cases, of course, there was also great opportunity for digitalization and actually for driving innovation at a more accelerated pace. And this means also new products, new apps.
How you said that a lot of apps had to kind of stop their app development process. How much of that is the case, is the story with pretty much every app development company?
So I know of some companies, also some of them are clients of ours, who decided to take their products off the market completely. Some of them were related to the food industry, restaurants, dining, sustainability, related to food waste and so on. So most of these companies that really had some great opportunities right before the pandemic came, they couldn't really adjust their strategy fast enough. But I would say that overall for app development companies, given the fact that they were focusing on multiple industries and not on the affected industries only, it wasn't an unstable period overall, right? So if we are to talk about revenue, for example, for us and also for other app development companies, 2020 was much better than we expected initially when the pandemic came. Because, for example, at Wolfpack Digital, we decided to go for a cautious approach and we actually revised all our numbers when we could see the pandemic coming. And when we drew the line at the end of the year of 2020, we could see that actually we did a lot better than expected, and the numbers were better than in 2019. So the general trend is a growing trend.
As a product strategist, what is that one highlight of this let's say pre-COVID and post-COVID in app development?
So I would say there are several highlights. One thing that I think is definitely noticeable is how accelerated digitalization is, especially in the financial world, right? So we may be talking about asset management, banking, so absolutely anything. It's very clear to everyone that now is the time to digitalize all these services, and we are actually getting a lot of queries with regards to developing financial applications. There is an aspect that we are all very familiar with. It's called Zoom fatigue, right? So we are all very stimulated by the online world, by all these screens surrounding us, because our life has moved there. And given the fact that you have all these applications that are competing for our attention, it seems that the trends are changing in terms of design, right? Because you can't simply be screaming for the user's attention. You have to do things differently. And ethical design, I believe, even from before COVID, was beginning to be a trend with all the documentaries that came out also at the beginning of 2020. But now with the Zoom fatigue, even more. So the idea is to try and build interfaces that are attractive, but at the same time that are very, very clean and offer mental space to users. So I think we are moving towards a more decluttered app space in the future.
When you say ethical interface, would you have any UI, UX examples, or maybe something more concrete to kind of just help us understand what do you mean by that?
But generally, ethical design is pretty much related to making sure that you design applications that do not trigger addictive behavior from your users, right? So to give you an example, I mean, probably most of our viewers have seen some documentaries on the topic,
like social dilemma
and so on, right? So for example, when you get a notification via email from popular applications, that notification doesn't give you the content of the message that you have received, and it sort of draws you back, right, to the main platform. And a way to do things ethically and be mindful with the user's attention, as an example, is to actually sort of give a summary or a glimpse of what the content actually is, right? Because then you're not sucking the user back into the platform.
Similarly, on those lines, I wanted to know what would be like. Is there going to be a shift in quality indicators of a product, or is it pretty much what they were before COVID?
Have our development processes in place. We always respect a certain development pipeline, and that development pipeline has not changed. So the tools that we use right now to ensure quality are pretty much the same. What is changing slowly, and now with COVID, I would say more accelerated than before, before, is the regulations that exist in certain industries, because the fintech world is becoming more open in certain areas, but at the same time we have regulations appearing in other areas. The health sector, where we are also quite active, is changing and it's getting regulated. And with all this digital transformation, which was mandatory in 2020, it became possible to actually achieve more with apps, right? So while in, I don't know, 2019, maybe it seemed like it would take ages until telemedicine was acceptable everywhere. Now it seems that we are not so far from that. So what we have seen, like to give you an example, is that there are mobile applications for health that are actually looking at getting certified as medical devices. So they are just based on software, but they will be seen as medical devices, and then they have to comply to certain international global standards. And for example, in order for us to develop such an application compliant with IEC 62304, which is the standard, we do have to make some changes to our standard process, meaning that, for example, in the system requirements that we prepare in the documentation, we have to respect a different format. So I think at this point, changing regulations that are supportive of digitalization are driving some changes in the development process. Now, looking at it from a different perspective, it sounds like integrated solutions are becoming more and more attractive, and I think it will be interesting to see, because I know we're talking mainly about mobile development, if Flutter, for example, will stand the test of time, right? Because it's a really great option to build hybrid applications, but what will happen once these applications start scaling, they start maturing? But yeah, I mean, that would be definitely something interesting to follow.
What, like, for your own company and for app development industry in general, what are certain tech trends that you'll be moving towards?
So to refer to the first part of the question, like the trends overall for 2021. So definitely one of the trends is related to having more 3D elements in general in all digital interfaces. Then of course storytelling is becoming more and more important, because we are all very tired with the online content. So therefore, if you're looking for something to make a difference, then storytelling in the end, not technology, is what makes the difference. Also, AI, of course, is becoming more and more powerful, and it used to be just a buzzword, but now it actually gets integrated into all these beautiful digital solutions, especially in healthcare digital products, where it outperforms sometimes even human performance when we're talking about diagnosis. Right, and also, as I was mentioning, fintech is quite the trend for 2021. And now about the next big thing for 2021 and also for the upcoming years, I think we can all see the great hype around electric cars, because this is also something that is very much supported by regulations and legislation all over the world. And you know that Apple will be starting with electrical cars quite soon too. So I think this entire sector of mobility will be the next big thing for tech, and I believe this will also have an enormous impact on mobile app development companies such as ourselves. And in this sense, we've been active in the transportation industry also ever since we started in 2015, and we are just super curious to see what the next transportation app will develop will be. Yeah, we'd like to focus on the current industries where we are present right now. So that would be fintech, transportation, health, but also beauty. So for us, being present in the beauty industry, actually this year we also started, in 2020 we started working with Sephora. For us, being present in the beauty sector more is definitely a priority, and we already started some projects in this area.
And you mentioned how your whole approach is about breaking the biases and stereotypes and kind of just like making the space more friendly and acceptable for women. So could you elaborate on that and tell me like what's been going on in that sector?
Mm-hmm. So actually, I'm the co-founder of the Women in Tech Cluj community based here in Romania since 2018, and I can tell you that we used to have monthly meetings. They were very nice. We used that opportunity to learn together from different mentors and speakers, and we had different formats for our monthly meetups. And this pandemic, of course, challenged our community too, because we had to move everything to the online world. But as with any change, there are also benefits if you learn how to look at the situation. What was really great is that it also gave us the opportunity to invite international speakers to our events much more easily, and also to have attendees from all over the world joining us, Romanians living abroad, but also international attendees. So this was really, really great. And now going back to the root of the question. So our mission at Women in Tech Cluj is to raise awareness about unconscious biases that exist. We are an open community, so absolutely everyone is welcome, and our mission is to actually support each other and learn from each other. I think we all have certain unconscious biases, even us as women, when we sometimes underestimate ourselves or underestimate others. And this means that in certain situations, we have to work harder to get to the result where we want to get. But in my perspective, we can use that as an opportunity to get better, to simply get better. And we shouldn't forget that these are indeed, as I find myself saying quite often, the best times to be a woman, right? We are quite blessed in that perspective, and I think facing these biases can also be a great catalyst for empowerment. So to give you an example of a bias that I still encounter in my daily life, so it happens sometimes when I have an initial business conversation with someone that I simply feel like I need to work more. It takes longer for me to win the other person's respect. But once that happens, I really believe that there's a lot that a woman can bring to the business table with empathy and some other great qualities. So yeah, I think the trick is just to be positive, and things are overall going really well. And as we can all witness also in the movie industry, there's this really strong, massive movement to empowering women and breaking stereotypes, and I think that's just great. And yeah, as a final note, I still think that empowerment is about allowing everyone to have a place at the starting line. It's not about giving privilege for people to get first to the finish line. It's just about equal opportunities in the end, and that's what we all want, nothing more.
Yeah. For people, for businesses that are looking to like maybe make new apps, and I'm talking about, let's say, upcoming app owners, what are some of the general things that upcoming entrepreneurs or businesses should look out for, like red flags or green, like, positive signs in a company that should help them make that decision?
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, looking at the experiences that some of our clients have had, I think it's super important to learn from mistakes, and it's even better when you learn from somebody else's mistakes. So I think it's a good idea to check for recommendations and see if you can check out some reviews, preferably verified reviews, and maybe even talk to clients who worked with that company before. I think it's a huge plus in general if you can somehow verify if the team of the app development company is in-house. I'm not saying that it's mandatory, but usually it means that the team is very used to working together and delivering good results together. Something that I would also check is probably some financial indicators about the company to make sure that the image that you see in the online world is also verified by data. So these are just some hygiene factors. But otherwise, I think what I would recommend to someone new is to read a bit about the app development process and the best practices in the industry. Right? Because what we found is that clients who are new to this, they don't really know what to expect. I can tell you a bit about the app development process, like very, very briefly.
Sure.
Yeah, the way that we do it, and also some other great companies out there do it. Of course, we all have our different finishing touches, but normally it all needs to start with defining the requirements really well. And for that, it's really good that you also involve your app development partner, because they have the expertise also with product strategy. Not all of them, but some of them do. And you can start by having a product discovery workshop or phase, and as a result of that, there is quite a set of requirements, and starting from the requirements, then you can move forward to actually drawing the wireframes of the application, so like a block scheme showing all the flows. This is where the basics of the UX are set, and then once the wireframe is ready and you have that block scheme, it's exactly like when you build a house and you start by drawing the blueprint. You move forward to the UX UI design phase, where you just add all the design elements, all the branding elements, and once that is finished, you move forward to the development, the coding, the testing, and the launching. And then for anything new, you just go back to the beginning of this cycle. So this is the general life cycle when it comes to launching a minimum viable product, and then you go through it again when you want to update your application. And all these phases, they can take longer, or they can be quite quick. What I can say is that in general, it's really good to work in an agile way, so that you are open to changes and to actually transforming your product and changing your mind. So that is something good. And I think in general, that's the most difficult part to understand for new clients. And then the best that you can do is actually research the topic for maybe half an hour or an hour before you talk to development companies. So agile development is definitely the way.
So you know how recently we've seen this trend where apps are suddenly going really viral, right? And and so I just as an industry leader, I wanted to kind of understand from you how much of this virality is it like a is there like a trick to it, or it's just a kind of just chance that some app makes it big suddenly.
Yeah, in general, I think that it's a combination of skill and strategy, and product market fit, of course, but also luck. So I think definitely luck is an important element. But yeah, I mean, in this case, I believe influencer marketing is quite important, and if you have the resources and the really good plan to do that, then you have every chance of being successful. And in the same case as with Flutter, it will be interesting to see like how long the hype will be there. So will it stand the test of time? Because as I was saying, in parallel with these innovative concepts, because Clubhouse is really innovative in the sense that it is audio, you also have like the other side where we can see that people are becoming more and more tired of their screens, right? And this is probably also why Clubhouse is so successful, because you don't have to look at the screen, you can just listen. So yeah.
Great.
There isn't any recipe. This is what I was trying to say, but definitely marketing is becoming more and more important.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that in the middle. In fact, are there any marketing tricks and tips or marketing tools that Wolfpack swears by in terms of like promoting itself?
Yeah, the thing is, we are not very set on a specific MarTech stack, and we adapt the tools that we recommend depending on our clients' needs. And in general, we focus on high quality tools and on focusing on tools that allow our clients' decisions to be data driven. So that's something that is super, super important.
So are there any common examples? Like, I mean, some general tools that you always recommend?
So it really depends again on our clients' needs. But yeah, analytics tools, and also, for example, in terms of marketing for us or for employer branding, because also for app companies, it's important that they also have the good people on board that can promote the app, offer customer service, and so on. Of course, you need to be present everywhere on the main social media channels.
Great. No, but thank you so much for your time, Gina. It was lovely talking to you.
Bye.